Greetings, everybody, and welcome. It is week 5, and we are over halfway. We are entering literally the home stretch. Summer A goes by so quickly, always has, always will. But we're working on the leadership research paper this week. So we're going to take a look at that. I'm going to share some MLA formatting and documentation information with you, not only in the module, but I've got a kind of sample paper to go over with you as well. MLA, many of you have had ENC 1101 already and should be somewhat familiar. Most high schools also, if you've done any research paper writing in high school, you probably used MLA as well. The goal for me is never to memorize how to do MLA. It's just to know that I have to look up how to do it. So we're going to set our papers up in MLA because we are a humanities-based class, and in the humanities we use MLA. So let's take a look at what's going on this week. Let me get I've got a couple of things to share, so I'm going to go ahead and open both of those now. And that's the sample paper. There we go. All right. So first, before I turn on the student view, I am going to pull up the syllabus. Just as a reminder, it is dangerously close to the end, but we are going to make it. We are currently entering week 5. And so you've got a reading journal. You're going to be reading the materials on conflict, which is a popular one with folks because it's difficult. And so anything we can learn to help us guide people through conflict is probably a good idea. So that's what you're going to write about in Journal 5. You do have last week's discussion board to respond to others on. Notice that we are not having a new discussion board. So I've saved you a little work because you are going to be working on the paper itself. This week, you want to have you've got to have at least a preliminary outline and a bibliography. And then the rough draft technically is due next week, but I don't have a lot of time to give feedback on that paper. So the earlier that you can turn in that rough draft, the better, because I'll get more time with it to give you feedback on it before you have to turn in the final version. In addition to my own feedback, of course, I would remind you that Lake Sumter does have a writing lab, a writing center, and you can get help either by going to one of the campuses for help, or you can access the tutoring online through the library page. So if you want a ton of extra help on the paper, make use of that. That's a good strategy. All right, so that's what's coming up as far as timing goes. Let me go to the student view and we'll go on down to the module. So I don't know why I closed week 5. There it is. So in week 5, we are talking about information literacy, the research paper assignment, and you're going to be looking at Unit 8, guiding through conflict. Of course, the readings in the Phi Theta Kappa stuff, the free version is a separate page, but you still want to access this page. I think I previewed this a little bit last week. There's a lot of additional learning materials this week, in addition, of course, to the Phi Theta Kappa curriculum stuff, because we want to talk about writing research papers. Now, I don't expect this to be the greatest research paper you've ever written, although it probably will be because you're going to have fun with it and it's great. But I've got some tutorials here for you on just in general information literacy, and then the basics of writing an essay. I know these videos are fairly long and sometimes that's really annoying, but it's going to help you. If you haven't had 1101 already, you definitely want to pay special attention to these videos. If you have already had 1101, it's kind of a brush up, but they're still going to be helpful to you. What I have found over the years is that even if we take 1101, sometimes the very next semester, we don't remember. We don't remember what happened. Then there are some videos on individual aspects of formatting and documentation, including how to get the paper set up, the works cited page, and then the internal citations. So those are a little bit, well, no, I was going to say some of them are shorter, but they're really not. I did go over the assignment last week. I am sure of that, but just as a reminder, you are writing a research paper about a public figure that is on a list of assigned people. You can choose any of those people, but you do have to choose one of those people. Okay. And part of that is because there's just certain people in our world, and especially in our country, and especially in our state, that are just too divisive. And I'm not gonna read research about them. I'm just not. So anyway, there's some fun ones on this list. There's some serious ones on this list, but do pick someone that you have an interest in, because it's going to make it a lot easier. All right, so you're going to have this week, you're going to turn in your topic choice in an outline. So the topic choice is going to be kind of in paragraph form, but it doesn't have to be like a giant paragraph. And I've got a sample here for you. So as a Roman Catholic who converted in adulthood, I am fascinated by the current Pope. Therefore, I plan on writing about Pope Francis in my leadership report. I will cover his biography as well as both statements and actions that reveal his leadership style. And then for an outline, I'm not fussy about the format. It doesn't have to necessarily have Roman numerals and letters and all that stuff, but it's basically just a list of the things that you are going to include. So, intro and summary of the last few popes, Francis's early life, entering the clergy and being a Jesuit, his time as Pope, and then within that, of course, important statements and actions, and then expert opinions on Francis's leadership and a conclusion. And then I do have my bibliography, not biography, my bibliography. It is correct MLA format in terms of the content. You notice it doesn't have a hanging indent, and it's a little bit weird in terms of spacing because it should be normal double spacing. But this is what you get when you type things into a box in Canvas. So yours is probably going to look very much like this as well. One of the things I really want to point out is that this link here, the Library Citation Center, is going to help you. It's got a sample MLA research paper. I'm actually also going to attach one to the video today, to the announcement. So make use of that. And also make use of the library for your research. A lot of people are going to Google everything and you're going to have some success. But I do want to point out that when we go to the library materials, all I did was open the page that's already there. But I'm going to go back to the home page for the library. And I'm going to do a quick search. So I want to show you really quickly Pope Francis and leadership. And it's not a lot, but I have 576 results. That's actually a nice size list because I don't have to wade through about 300,000, which sometimes happens. And you'll notice that some of these articles are right on point. So, for example, here's an article called The Power and Leadership of Pope Francis. So this is something I might want to take a look at. Here's why I'm going to advocate for you to do your research using the library. There's a couple reasons. Using the library and not just Googling. So I'm going to click on this article and it's going to give me a link to find the actual article right here, full text availability. It's going to make me sign in, of course. It always does. And then it's going to give me, oh, shoot. I wonder if that one is only available in Italian. That's entirely possible. Okay, let me go back one step here. So we're going to go back to the search and I'm going to limit some of this. So I want to make sure it's available online. I want to make sure that it is in English. Most of them are. And that should be good. Yeah, that took that one out. So, no, it didn't. It's right there. I don't know why it didn't open then. I don't know. This is one of those times when I would say to reach out to the librarians and have them help you with it, because I think this article looks like it'd be really helpful, but I'm going to pick a different one. Let's use the first one. Okay, there we go. Click on the link and it's going to take you to the database that it's housed in. In this case, it's an EBSCOhost database. And among other things, we're going to have these lovely magic buttons over here on the side. And the one I want most of all, where's it at? Is it that one? The icons always look very small to me. So yeah, okay. So it's the one that looks like a golden piece of paper if you're in an EBSCOhost database. And you'll notice that the style for the citations, you just scroll down to the M's, and this is what's going to go on your Works Cited. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to show you in our sample. I'm just going to put it at the end for right now. And actually, ironically, that's where it would go alphabetically anyway. So we're going to hit enter and I want to paste it, but I want to do what's called match formatting because I want to keep my font, but I also want to keep things that they've put in, such as italics. So this is what it would look like in my citation. And then when I cite it, if I'm using a quote or a paraphrase from it, when I cite it, I'm going to use the author's last name, and it's only one page, so I can use the page number as well. This, then we can close that up, and then this would allow us to actually read it. Okay. And you can see right here that this is really page 118. Sometimes the articles are much longer. Let me see if there's no, these are all fairly short. Sometimes if it's a much longer article, you have to scroll through. There's also times when you do not have access to the original page numbers. Let me see if there's one that looks like it might do that. Let's look at this one. Gale, by the way, is a completely different database. Kind of glad I opened this one to show you. So this one, notice this is not a scan of a page. So this is a good example of two things I wanted to show you. One is, what do you do if you don't have a page number? You just use the author's last name, or in this case, there's not even an author. So I'm going to copy this. It's already chosen. MLA is already chosen. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to paste it by matching the formatting. Now there's a couple things I need to fix here. And if you don't fix it, nothing bad's going to happen to you. But MLA uses what is called traditional title capitalization. So all of the quote unquote important words need to be capitalized. APA doesn't do that. So this is probably originally written for a journal that was in APA style. So we would capitalize those if you remember. And if you don't, it's fine. So as I mentioned with this one, we have both an author and a page number. So when I quote from it or cite it, it's going to look like this in like by the quotation. So it's going to say Rawl, comma, 118. It doesn't even need the comma. Now, this would never be on this page. So I just want to show you what it looks like, and then I'm going to immediately delete it. So I don't want to save it on this page. This one doesn't have an author. And so when we cite this, cite a quote from it or cite a paraphrase from it, we have to use the same thing that comes first. So in this case, it's going to be the title. I would not use this whole title, but I would probably use both political and the word initiative. simply because that's going to be clearer. And we don't have page numbers, so that's all you use. If you had page numbers, you would use them. Okay, there's more about how to do this in the materials from this week, so I'm not trying to make you remember it just based on this, but I will, I do want to show you that those are there. In fact, this whole sample paper is about MLA. So before you just use it as a template, I would invite you to read it, because it does go over it. So I'm going to give you this, and this is set up just exactly the way your paper will be set up. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the course itself. You don't need a ton of resources for this particular paper. I would say probably 2 to 3. 2 if they're really substantial and all about leadership. You might have to have a little bit more than that if you need to look into things like ethics and vision and those sorts of things. But a lot of times you can find an article that is about their whole leadership information, and so you can utilize maybe 2 or 3 sources. So now, with that being said, don't limit yourself. You can have as many sources as you need. The other thing you might notice is that I've got some sources on here that are like, this one is a video. You will find videos in the library information as well. And those, like the ones I just showed you, will have the actual citations provided for you. So 2 reasons to use the library instead of Googling everything. One is that it is better. This is that simple. But the other is that they usually also will provide the correct citation for you, which will save you a lot of time. Citing websites is actually harder. So anyway, back to the module. Okay. So in addition to the materials there, you have the assignment guide here. And then when you create your assignment this week, this is the one that you're going to be turning in: the topic, outline, and preliminary bibliography for the leadership profile paper. Don't forget, of course, you need to go back and respond to at least 2 others on the 4th discussion board. You don't have a new discussion board to do this week, but you do need to have the old one. Now, the dates, I have got I have got where you turn in the rough draft and the journal and the final draft right on this page for your convenience, because even though you don't have to do it right this second, if you finish the rough draft, you can go ahead and turn it in. If you get my feedback and you finish the final draft, you can go ahead and turn it in. For some of you, you may want to be working really, diligently on those, so get them out of the way so that it's not more to do at the end of this very, very short term. I don't know if you have other classes that are only summer A. If you don't, then it's probably not as big of a deal. You can spread it out a little bit more, but I put all the links here because it's going to be easier for you to find them. And okay, so then we go back to the regular modules page. On the modules page itself, you will notice that the only 2 things that you have due this week are Journal 5 on the conflict readings and that topic choice. So those links that are on the page are just for your convenience, but you'll also find them down here. Here's where you'll turn in the rough paper, the paper rough draft. Here's what you're turning the PowerPoint for your presentation, and so on and so forth. All right. So, but you can always look ahead as well. I want to go over how you're going to turn this in. So this is, a reminder of all the people that you can choose from. And then it is in quiz format, which is one reason why you won't probably have hanging indent for your bibliography and stuff, because you're just going to be putting it in a box. So the quiz is going to ask you to write a paragraph naming your chosen leader from the list provided. Again, doesn't have to be a super long paragraph, but there you go. Remember, here's where you have the rough outline. Now, you don't have to have outline format, but the Canvas will do it for you. So if you want to have something using ABCs, you certainly can. And then this is where you'll put your initial bibliography. You will need to share with me at least 5 sources in this assignment, but you may only end up using 2 or 3 of them in the final version of the paper. When we're researching, and this of course is kind of goes against what everybody wants to do, which is the least amount of work, I mean, myself included. In order to write a research paper that is has 2 or 3 required sources, typically you do end up having to find 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you need to have at least 5 on this list. When you're done, and you can copy and paste just like we had been. So for example, there's the last one that I copied. Notice here when I pasted it in, it doesn't do the hanging indent, of course, but it does keep the italics and stuff. So feel free to utilize that. Again, that's a bonus for using the library. And then all you got to do is submit. I have 2 unanswered questions. I know. And there you have it. Okay, so that's what's on tap for this week. Feel free to work ahead. And if you have any questions or anything, please do reach out. I will be available. I am a little behind on last week's discussions because I was sick in the middle of the week. So I'm sorry I didn't get in there and comment on everybody's like I normally do. I probably won't, so that I don't get behind on grading. So, but I will read everything you said, and I will comment back to you in your feedback, but I probably will not worry too much this week about the individual responses on discussion board 4, just because I was so sick in the middle of the week and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't, I just slept for like 36 hours. And now I feel much better. So it worked. All right, everybody, take care. Have a great week. And I will see you next Sunday night or Monday morning, depending on when I record. And in the meantime, I hope everyone has a great week 5.